Hello everyone. So let's start this. So what I was I'm exploring this RAG and then these agents, AI agents, Gen AI. So these are talk of the town now. So I'm just trying to learn this topic. So I thought of an idea like what can I do? So after learning quite a bit of this, like LlamaIndex and all those through different tutorials. So then I thought of a practical project that I can do out of it. So this is what I thought is the one of the idea that struck me was so I do a lot of screening stuff for my stock, like when I'm some stock screening for my investment purposes. So I just give you a quick look of the uh, problem statement that I wanted to tackle in this project. So what happens is when we try to, so this is a screener page where we can screen stocks. So I'll just give a quick brief about this. So let's suppose I want to check like which are the companies where the FII, that means the foreign institutes are buying. Right. So when I click on this, it runs, and these are the stocks that foreign investors. So Swiggy is one of them that foreign investors are actually buying into it since 1 quarter. So this is a query that it is automatically generated because it was default saved. So this is the query. So that we write in here in screener, and this generates this result. So then now the problem is screener has a lot of queries, like a lot of these metrics or ratios you can see. So it's hard to recall. Like, I'll just show you. These are all the queries that we screener has. So this is just one tab. Similarly, we'll have all these tabs. Each tab has different ratios that we can use to query. And these are the operations that we can do, and or and all those operations we can do. So it's very hard to remember what all these exact means are the ratios, right? So current price, I don't remember, I don't recall which all are actually present in. So it becomes tough for me to screen. Say suppose if I'm thinking to screen based on some, I have some ideas. Like my thought is like if I want to screen based on market cap and some, let's suppose a stock is trading at all time high. So how do I screen that? I don't know what's the formula for all time high. What's the ratio about that? So to solve this, try to use this AI. So what we'll try to do is let AI know all this information. Like I'll just give AI all this information, like all these ratios, right? So AI will know all this information for me. And then what I'll try to do is I'll just write my normal human query, right? Like what I said just now. Like I want to screen companies that market cap is something, let's say 1,000 crores and above, and for whose uh, the companies have no debt, or as I mentioned, like it is trading at all time high or something like that. Right? So I just write the human text that I want, and this and my output would be the query that screener understands, right? So that output I can just put it over here, and it will just run. So I hope this is clear. So let's go to the. So this is like building a screener query assistant. So I'm using LlamaIndex Pinecone. So I'll go more into it later. So it's for indexing and the Retrieval-Augmented Generation. So as I explained you the problem statement. So the problem is basically writing complex query on on screener is challenging, right? So user doesn't know often what are the issues and metrics that exist. So difficult to express intentions in screener syntax, right? So it's very hard to what I'm thinking to convert it into as a query. So it's same you can think of like writing an SQL query, right? We have something like we want to do table, and then we want to write an SQL query. So this same thing can be also incorporated for SQL query. Probably I think it's already available. I'm not sure about that. but yeah, we can look into it. So the solution, the approach, what I'm thinking of is, first we can give this natural language input, right? And then, so this is this vector search. I'll go more into it later on. What is this vector search? And then the LLM processing, basically my LLM model. Let's suppose I'm using an OpenAI model. So using that to process my request, and then it will convert it into a screener query, right? So first thing, the first hurdle is the data collection. So as I mentioned, right? So I had to collect all this data to feed it into my AI system, right? For the AI to learn. So, but it's very hard to go and fetch because so here, if you can see, this is just the name, right? If I click on it, you will see this, the value, the description of it is this, right? So I have to go and this is the value in crores. Like what is the value of this? Some are ratios, some are in crores. So some are in percentage. So these are in percentage. This is the description of it. So basically to gather the data, what I have to do is I have to go in each of them, click on it, get copy the description, copy the metrics, and like have this data ready. So to solve this, like this is manual effort, as you can see, there are a lot of data. And yeah, Screener, I did check. Screener didn't have any API as of now. I'm not sure. I can probably ask them if they provide something out of some cash transaction. But yeah, as of now, like through documentation, I couldn't find anything that they have this list. So what I tried is I'm using this comment browser. So this is the comment browser. So this is something like launched by Perplexity. So it's an agentic browser where we can have assistant mode in. So through this, so like if you go to this, if I just show you and go to this assistant, I can type over here. So this will act as an agent or an assistant. And if I type, just gather me all this information, like most used annual P&L. I want all this information and can give me a CSV file, or suppose give me a JSON file, or just a simple document with all this information, the name of it, the description, and the value of it, right? So I have to prompt it out over here, and then it just gives me the information. So I have to do some tweaking over there on the prompt. So it's fun to work with it. So yeah. So extract the ratio names and quick description, automate the scrapping process, generate the comprehensive CSV. So after I prompt it out, it will give me that CSV version of it. So most likely the assistant may provide you the CSV, or it can just give you the document over the chat box itself. So you can just copy and paste it in a new file when you like put an extension of CSV, right? So I get this information, right? So the CSV something looks like that: sales, trailing 12-month sales, OPM. So this is another metric, which means operating profit margin based on last 4 quarters. These are description of it, right? So these is the first data set that I see. Now I have to enhance the data, right? So enhance the data in the sense. So for the AI to understand, so I need to, what I thought of is like metrics sale, right? So sales has other names as well, like top line, revenue, turnover. So these are the common names for sales. So if I write in a human language, I can ask, right, what's the, I want companies where revenue is going by 20%, right? So it needs to understand that revenue means sales, right? So for that, I thought of adding a new column called LSS, right? Now again, to solve this, I again used Perplexity, or you can use anything ChatGPT, where you can just mention this, right? That you want a new column called LSS, and this LSS will basically mean something like metric sales. So the intelligence is there in all the LLM models now, ChatGPT and all, so they can just write it down. So I have to also in the prompt, I have to make it strict, like if you don't know anything, any one of the metrics, what exactly it means, keep the LSS as blank, right? So that it doesn't write wrong information over there. And also after it generated it, so I had a validation check on all those metrics, if it is okay or not. And it was looking good. Yeah. So the next step was to feed this information into my AI system, right? So how to build this AI system? That's the new one. Next step that we have to do. So here, so the first thing is purpose is to we have to optimize this data that we have received as CSV, right? So into proper format of data so that LLM can understand it properly, right? So for that, so since it's a CSV, so each row, so what I thought of is, well, first, so to give it a big, better meaning, right? So each row, it doesn't have any meaning. So like it says that the first column is sales, second column is this trailing 12-month sales, and the third column is the LISs, right? So I thought of giving a better meaning. So each row will basically mean one line of a document. So that line is basically the metric sales, means trailing 12-month sales. Other names of these metrics are top line, revenue, and turnover. Right. So this is my basic line. So I wrote a small piece of code. So I'll just share the Jupyter Notebook code. To better understand it. But yeah, basically the objective was to just convert this CSV into lines, and that will serve me as a document, right? So this is the first. So, so so next is a chunking strategy. So what we do is, so maybe you can cover it in a separate video, like the exact process of this what how this LlamaIndex and everything works. But in brief, if I have to say it, is basically we do chunking, so then we can index all those information that each document has. So now my document has lines of code, so these lines I have to feed it into a index so that I can retrieve it easily, right? So it's like you can assume it as a database. It's only, but it's just that it's a vector database where it's basically the numbers are the data are semantically you can say equal, or like say suppose the words that are similar, that will be nearest to it, or the distance would be less, so they will be termed when I index them, so it will be coming under same index or similar nearer index. So that's the like logic behind this. So we want to do a chunking of this. So for us it's clear, like we did this, like one line should be our one chunk, so to retain the meaning of it. So to reserve benefit is to preserve the meaning and consistency. Like one chunk is one atomic information. So LLM doesn't have any confusion. The results are good. So it helps us to give a good result. So yeah, I had done several iteration over it. Like I have just used the actual CSV. The result was not that great. Then some other trial and error, and then finally landed up with this information with this approach. So the code is like where to convert it into nodes. So each node is basically a line, and these are just information metadata from information they have to like put inside this node. So the vector infrastructure setup. So basically we have to have this vectorization that I'm like indexing have to do. So for indexing, we have to have embeddings, so through which we have to do the indexing. So for this, we are using this OpenAI embeddings. There are various others embeddings as well, but yeah, we are using this one. Pinecone is basically a storehouse where we can store this. Once we have this embedding, we can just load in into Pinecone. So it's a third-party service. So there are other services as well. So Pinecone is one of them. Then ChromaDB is where we are persisting it. So this is just for indexing. So we are indexing it. And ChromaDB is basically our entire object that we have, the document storage, we are storing it. And this LlamaIndex is basically the framework through which we are doing all this. So here the process is basically we are initializing the model, embedding model, setting up Pinecone, and then building the vector index, and then we are persisting it. Right? I'll go into the Jupyter notebook to explain it even proper way. Let's go before the RAG magic. Let's go into the Jupyter notebook. So this is the I'll not go well. This is quick. These are basically imports that we are doing. So here we have to load our OpenAI keys, the Pinecone key. So this is not required in this project, but yeah, just had it. So OpenAI key, you have to get it through the platform, OpenAI platform. So yeah. So I think it costs a bit. You have to probably top up with $5 or something. But yeah, it's obviously if you're going to these agents, and so I think this is the minimal investment one can do. So once you sign up, then you can just go to here. think one day once we sign up, we can probably go and check. So there will be some APIs. Yeah. So there should be an option to set up your API. So that way you can just, it's very intuitive. You can just log in, sign up and do it. So for now, I'll just skip this part. We can take it in a separate video. So yeah, Pinecone. So we are initializing Pinecone with the Pinecone key. So then here, as we have already seen, we are converting our lines from our document. So this is my document. From there, I'm just converting it into lines. So each line is this, as we have already seen before. Then we are creating the nodes out of LlamaIndex. LlamaIndex is the library. From there, we are creating nodes which needs to be fed in. These are Pinecone. So these are very intuitive, not very tough syntaxes. So to index it, we have to just do pinecone.index and the name of the index. This is basically you have to create an index first in Pinecone. So to Pinecone, again same way. So there we don't need to do any API key to add, but this is free of cost. So we can just go and sign up and do get an API key and create an index. Again, this is again straightforward. I also have a Substack document out of it, so I'll just share it later. So this is the Pinecone. So this is a Pinecone index, and then this Pinecone vector store we're using, where we're just mentioning this index, and this will give us the vector store out. So once we have it, so this is the Chroma library where we are storing this get or create collection. So we are creating. So this is in NoSQL or in SQL. It's a database, or you can say it's a table out of it. From the database is this, and here's a table out of it, matrix query. So we are just having a Chroma collection, and so we are having Chroma vector store, and we are storing this, right? This Chroma collection out of it. So as of now, it will be blank. Then we just whenever we do it, store Chroma vector store, so it will just load it up. So next is the final part where we do this vector indexing, right? So let me go back again to the PPT, the RAG magic. So here what we need is for the RAG to work, we need, so RAG basically what in short, if I have to explain it, is basically, so OpenAI and all other GPT models, right? So they are trained on certain amount of data available on the internet, right? So upon them now, if we want to have some extra information, right? So like extra information sense, like the one that I captured through screener. So these are the informations, these are not present because we had to scrap the information. So for this extra information, the model is not trained, right? So what we want to do is we have the model ready, we are feeding some extra information, and from that extra information, it will give me a answer output out of it. That's a basic RAG, right? What happens? So we are retrieving information out of that whatever new document that we have provided. So right, the key components of the system prompt. So when we are making a query, this is the main prompt that we want. What exactly our LLM model actually we want to do, like we want to make a screener query. So that is our exact motive. So we have to put it in our system prompt, right? So, and we have to have some strict boundaries. I'll talk about it later, but we have some strict boundaries and all stuff. Query engine is basically which, like how you're doing the query, LlamaIndex query we're doing, right? So the indexing part, that's the temperature basically for, so that it's always consistent, the result. It never, sometimes it gives one result and in another time it will give another result. We don't want that. So for that, we want to keep it temperature 0. And top K is basically from the index, we want to first gather only few documents, right? Like few chunk of information. Like say suppose 5 lines of code which are relevant. Like say suppose if I'm talking about market cap greater than 2000. So I want only from my document, I don't need all the entire document. I just need the five relevant lines where the word market cap is being used, right? So that's what it means here, top 5. So let's go into the notebook. Here basically we are using the OpenAI embedding as we mentioned before. And then here is the vector indexing that has been happening. So vector index nodes that we have created before, the model that we have here, Open API, OpenAPI, the OpenAI embedding model, and this to store the index link to have it storage in the session. We can store it there. So this is like where our RAG indexing is complete once we run this code. Now we can, so this retriever is basically we can retrieve anything as I mentioned, right? Like say suppose if my query is what is ROCE, right? So now it will give me the top 5 results. So here there is only 3 results. So it gave me only the first 3 results. So here see, you can see all ROCE is mentioned, something related to ROCE, and this is ROE, which is closely related to ROCE. So it gave me these 3 information, right? So these is basically from the indexing, we can retrieve this information. So next is our prompt. So this is the main thing that we have to be very careful about. We have to trial and error with the prompt. So we have to be the prompt very carefully, so it doesn't like it's very precise and it knows what it needs to be done. So here I mentioned like you are a strict financial domain expert. So by default, it knows now it's called a role play prompting. So a technique of prompting. So answer only from context. So context is basically the information that it has already generated from the retriever. If there is no answer, so it should say that no data found, right? Something like that. It shouldn't hallucinate or it shouldn't give its own creative ideas or something. So I'm also mentioning like just mention the metric name provided inside codes and don't use aliases. So we have to make sure that the third column that I introduced, it doesn't use that as my metric because then it will fail because the screener doesn't know about it. So don't use any random name or create it on your own. Basically, yeah, just and don't use quotes, right? So I just want the screener. It's basically just the metric name without any quotes. So I'm giving you some example how to interpret things. So this is my prompt. Now I'm just using this OpenAI model. I'm using for this case, I'm using ChatGPT 4o mini. The key I'm providing it in system prompt, right? And then, so this is the index I've already created, and from the index, I'm making a query, right? As query engine, the LLM model I'm providing, and I'm fetching out the 5 top, basically 5 top relevant information from there. I do whatever I have to do. And I tested it, query I tested much more, but I'm just here mentioning it once. So with this, we were able to generate. So let's suppose I tested it with these companies where, so I want to have information about companies where weekly volume has increased by more than 5x and price movement is positive. So it gave me a output of this, which if we run it in screener, it will work, right? So this is basically converting this from this input and this is the output. So this was my final result of this entire project. So what I'm thinking of doing is right now, future plan is, so right now it's just an Jupyter notebook. It's not deployed anywhere. So I'm thinking of creating a microservice out of it and also probably a chatbot application. So you can just go and hit the query and result. So some probably enhancement of the UI. Probably I'll try with screener, we have some other screening tools like charting and all those. So probably we can go into those as well. So basically key takeaways, so got to learn quite a lot of things about different technologies and the data collection, how to automate the data collection and data refining. So the toughest part was the data refinement and also like trial and error on the different data sets that like how which data to work will work, how to from CSV have moved into a document into chunking, how best to chunk. There are different ways to chunk, how best to chunk and all. Then how to give strict prompts so that the system doesn't hallucinate, doesn't give some new metric names, right? So instead of the one mentioned in the document, it can come up with its own new names. So so all those things. Yeah. So this is it for now. Let's see. We'll take other things. Maybe we'll link other information about OpenAI keys, Pinecone key, and other information data in other videos. Thank you.